بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم إني نرجو تعلم وتعليم، تذكر وتذكير، نفع الانتفاع والاستفادة، وحث التمسك بكتاب الله سنة رسول الله، ودعاء للهداة وتخرج مرضاته وقربه والثواب لله تعالى. اللهم ها هنا بين يديك ودعفنا على إخفاء عليك، وتعملنا بلطفك وجودك برحمتك أرحم الراحمين، ويستحمل الله ظاهرها باطنها فإنك على كل شيء قدير وعلى سؤالنا جدير. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, we are passing through these moments of Ramadan and Allah's mercy is descending upon us and His forgiveness is enveloping us and His emancipation from hellfire is outstripping even our greatest desire and calls and supplications to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That all of this mercy which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us and rained upon us is such that a person really has to be in a state of almost open disobedience and almost audacious disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order for him not to receive Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rahmah. And this is what the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, when he mentioned as he ascended the mihrab or the mimbar, at each step he said Ameen. And one of the du'as the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam said Ameen to, he said رغم الأنف الذي أدركه الرمضان فلم يغفر له. He said alayhi salatu wasalam that may the person be, and he said may the person be wretched of who the month of Ramadan arrives and he's not forgiven because of it. Because the month of Ramadan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such that a person traverses through this month and he becomes as if in the state as his mother has given birth to him in purity from disobedience and purity from sins in this blessed month. This is why when we hear the ahadith and the narrations from Allah and His Prophet ﷺ, when he said, "Man qama imanan wa ihtisaban, ghufira lahu ma qaddama min dhanbihi." That is a person who stands seeking with iman and seeking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's forgiveness. This person, inshaAllah ta'ala, will be forgiven of all the sins that have passed. And this is a month, as we know, awwaluhu rahmah. Allah's rahmah is descending. But in spite of all of this fadail, all of these virtues, all of this, Allah's a'ta, Allah's giving, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy, but with some, however, who will be still deprived of that mercy. And the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam mentioned who these people will be. And in fact, the most blessed moment of the month of Ramadan itself, in which Allah's mercy is such that in the night of Ramadan, Allah frees more people in that night than He has freed combined with all the days and the night of Ramadan that have preceded, and that being Laylatul Qadr. But however, even on that day, even on that blessed day, there will be certain people who will be deprived of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. And Allah Jalla wa Ala mentions, and the hadith mentions, when Allah will speak to the angels that will descend in the Laylatul Qadr. And inshallah, as we progress closer to that blessed moment, we will inshallah speak more about it at that time. Allah will speak to Sayyidina Jibreel alayhi salam. says, Ya Jibril, ما صنع في حوائج المؤمنين من أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. O Jibril, what have we done for the needs and for the requests of the Ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? So then he will say that we have received them, we have met them, we have shaken the hands of those who were in the past, and we have sought their forgiveness. However, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Prophet mentions that إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَعَالَى نَظَرَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَعَفَى عَنْهُمْ وَغُفِرَ لَهُمْ إِلَّا أَرْبَعَةً. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala look at the people and then He will forgive them except for 4 people. And from these 4 people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not forgive. It's mentioned from one of them, عَاقِ الْوَالِدَيْهِ وَقَطْعُ الرَّحِمِ. وَمُشَاهِنْ, 3 he mentioned, and the mudmin al-khamr, the one addicted to alcohol. The Rasul alayhi salam mentioned al-waqi al-walidayh wa qati' al-rahim wa mushahin, meaning that a person in this blessed moment, and indeed the most elevated time and the most venerated time of this blessed month, the night of Laylatul Qadr, the night of power, the night of decree, the night of Allah's rahmah descending upon the ummah, so even within that moment, this person will not be forgiven. So this is a moment, this is a moment in that we need to seek out every single person that we have wronged and seek their forgiveness either directly or indirectly. What do we mean by this? A person we have wronged, a person we have slandered, a person we have done riba of, a person's wealth we've appropriated, the person's wealth we have the means to pay him back, and yet we withhold that wealth that belongs to another, a debt, for example. Or we have not fulfilled the rights of those who are our parents or those who are our relatives. Or not only that, fulfilling the rights, but we have severed relations with those people. This is the time of ihsan. This is the time of reaching out to those people. And who does not have people that they have harmed? Who does not have people that they have wronged? But the best of he who wrongs is the one who repairs. As the Rasul والسلام, he mentions that Afdal alladhi badara bis salam, the best of he is who goes towards peace. And when we say badara bis salam, we don't just mean by the person who puts forward their hand and says assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That is one form of salam. But salam is a dua that comes from the heart of a mu'min. A mu'min is not a munafiq. A mu'min is not a hypocrite. Meaning that a mu'min is not one who only says by the tongue and withholds with the heart. Meaning that when a person says salam to another, and he seeks their forgiveness, and he seeks their peace from them, and security from them, and safety from them, this is not something a person just says with the mouth, but it's something a person intends with the heart. So when a person says assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to a person, he means that not only from his tongue, but from his heart also. And part of that salam is what? That the person returns and thereafter does what? The person continues to repair the wrong which he may have done to that person, or the oppression that he may have caused that person. And how does a person do this? First of all, directly. If a person that knows he will not be harmed by this, or the person knows that inshallah, whether or not he will respond to this, a person takes the initial step. And he is the better of the two. Aslaha dhat al-bayn, the one who repairs that which is between people. He is the better of the two. If the person doesn't respond, or the person continues in their obstinacy in not taking their forgiveness or reciprocating their forgiveness, then inshallah this person has done what is due upon him. As for the person who does it indirectly, If a person has wronged somebody, has backbited somebody, now, or has slandered somebody, first of all, he should repair them, and the people that the slander has reached, he should first of all try to repair this, saying that actually it was incorrect what I said, or actually, I should not have said this. Now, and it's difficult, but that's a price a person has to pay for slandering another. No? And the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, when a person takes delight in the hardship of another mu'min, no? He said, إِيَّاكَ بِشَمَاتَةِ أَخِيقِ وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْفِيهِ وَيُبْتِلِيكَ. And be mindful, beware of taking joy in the slip, or in the difficulty, or in the tribulation of your brother. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cure him, and indeed he'll afflict you with that same difficulty. Another hadith mentions qabla an yamut, and before this person dies, he will see that same difficulty inflicting him. So a person turns back, seeks the forgiveness. No? A person turns back and seeks their forgiveness. No? And if a person can't do this directly, then a person does this indirectly, meaning that a person seeks Allah's forgiveness and he only speaks good now about the person. Maybe he can also bring a gift to that person, and a gift that is brought to a person will bring any mahabba and take out the feelings of hatred or rancor which he has to a person. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now when the companions were asked, who is the strong person? Because this is ultimately to do with the insides of our soul, do with the inners of our of our hearts, meaning that our hearts itself are the locus of these feelings. And a person who has his heart purified, now Allah says, إِلَّا مَا لَقَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ, except who meets Allah with a pure and a purified heart. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا, the pure is purified, the one who has purified their soul. So this is where it starts. It starts in the month of Ramadan, or before the month of Ramadan, if that was occurred, then in the month of Ramadan. We want to be from those four people, the mushahin, who is not forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, al-walidayh, the one who has not fulfilled the rights or severed the rights of their parents, or the person who has broken silat al-rahim, who has broken the connections of family. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he mentions, Allah loves the people of ihsan, those who go over and above and fulfill the rights of others and the duty that is binding upon others. When the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, when he mentioned, ليس الشديد بسرعة ولكن الشديد الذي يملك نفسه عند الغضب, the person who is the one that is strong and has strength. The one of strength isn't the one who can overpower another in some sort of physical activity, who is physically strong, who is quick of responding. In fact, the strong and the shadid is the one who can what? يملك نفسه عند الغضب, the one who can seize his soul and bring it under temperance, bring it under control. So when one is raising their voice, this person remains quiet. When one is abusing him, this person remains silent. And if the month of Ramadan is not a month of sabr and teaching of sabr, there's no other month a person will learn this. SubhanAllah, in the month of Ramadan, people think that because now they are hungry, now that justifies them to act in whatever way that they wish. One of the Rasul alayhi salatu was has taught us. فَإِذَا قَاتَلَكَ النَّاسِ فَقُلْ أَنَا صَائِمٌ. If a person wants to wrangle with you, or even fight with you, a person does what? What did he say? قُلْ أَنَا إِمْرَأٌ صَائِمٌ, I am a person that is fasting. And you walk away. If a person does that in a state of fasting, inshallah he can do that outside the month of Ramadan when he is not fasting. And inshallah, ajr with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is such that a person leaves discussion and debate and wrangling, even though he is in the right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yabnu lahu baytan fi wasat al-jannah. Allah will build him a palace within the innards and the يعني the core part of Jannah. And the Rasul alayhi salatu is giving here similitude. As we all know, the core part of any place of or any city or any country, the core part, the capital, and not the capital, but the inner part of the capital, the prices there, the property are always the most exorbitant. And the Rasul alayhi salatu is giving an example when he mentioned the wasat, he'll be in the inners of and the inner essence and the inner part of Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yani, enable us to understand. And Allah says, who are those people now? The people beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَالْقَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Allah says what subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yani, الْقَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظ, those that suppress their wrath, their anger, yani, their rancor, no? وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ, and then they forgive people. And then what was the reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Wallah, Wallah yuhibbul muhsinin. Allah loves the people of ihsan. And the person becomes the mahbub of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when what? When this person becomes a person of ihsan by responding by not what is lower self is called responding by the higher call to the faith of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No? And how much can we say about this? Yani, no? How much can we say about this except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he has a love for the people of ihsan, and what better place to do ihsan and time to do ihsan than in this month of Jannah. Even though if a person has wronged you and you seek to redress that that wrong a person has done to you, you will be here maybe till Yawm al-Qiyamah. But if you become not only a person who forgives, who seeks the forgiveness of others, of those you have wronged, but you also forgive those who have wronged you. No? And we mention, that Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And there's a reason why these great illustrious people we call the Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhum wa qul radiallahu anhum wa radu anhu. Those whom Allah was pleased with them and they were pleased now with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why have they reached this station? What is the maqam that these people reach? We only hear sometimes about the heroic exploits upon the battlefield. But yes, we forget that these same people were not only heroic on the battlefield, but they were also chivalry and chivalrous amongst their interactions with each other. And part of that was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was training the ummah that this is khair ummah. This is the pinnacle of all nations. Nations which are fursan bin nahar wal ubbad fil layl. Those who are the warriors on the daytime, and they are the venerable chivalrous people in the nighttime and the worshippers during the nighttime. There was a state which these people had, which Allah raised them to the state that they were. And it's mentioned that Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, as you know, there was a famous incident that occurred called Hadithatul Ifk, which was also slander upon our pure mother Sayyidina Aisha radiallahu anha, which the munafiqun spread about her and her chastity, wa iyadhu billah min dhalik. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested the ummah by this. And he tested the ummah to see of those, to decipher of what level of purity they had reached. And a discussion took place between Sayyidina Abu Darda radiallahu anhu and his wife Darda. And Darda said to Abu Darda, she said to him, أَلَمْ تَسْمَعْ بِمَاذَا يُقَالْ عَنْ عُمِّنَا. Have you not heard what is being said about our mother? So then Sayyidina Abu Darda radiallahu anhu, and look at what he says. So Abu Darda radiallahu anhu says to Darda, he says to her, هَتَظُنِّينَ أَنْتِ خَيْرًا مِنْهَا. Do you think that you are better than her? She says, no. Then he says to her, هَلْ فَعَلْتِ هَذَا. Would you have done this? He says, well, billah, whatever the slander that people were accusing her of. And then he said to her, فَعْلَمْ فَإِنَّهَا خَيْرًا مِنْكِ. So know that she is better than you. So if you would not do this, how can you even assume that another would do this? Now this is a good understanding for us to take away. Take away the understanding that what? Apply it to yourself. Before you go and slander others or slight others, if this was your own father, your own son, your own closest and dearest, how much would you do to, first of all, to research and to decipher if it was your role? If it's not your role, what does a person do? تَرَكُهُ مَا لَا يَعْنِيهِ. Leaves that which does not concern him. And this is the state of a believer. If it doesn't concern him, it's not his concern. He steps away and leaves it to the people to whom it's concerned it is. Now, so this is the way we behave with each other. Not that we seek out each other's faults. And less so in Ramadan, because this is a month of tarbiyah, a month of changing, like we have mentioned many a time. Ramadan is a madrasa. Ramadan is a madrasa of change, meaning it's a moment and time of change, not a moment of ibadah. And alhamdulillah, we make very beautiful du'as at the end of Ramadan, as beautiful as they are. We do the khatam of the Quran. We are not a ummah where we have a cathartic experience. What does that mean, cathartic? It means that we worship Allah, come at the end of the month, we have a dua to Allah, and then we think that all of our sins have been washed away, and inshallah which they have, and we hope and from Allah that they have, but then we go back to our ways. Does this make us any different from the Catholics who go to the confession box? And then they do their confession, and then they think they've been forgiven, and they have to return back to their ways. No, we're not like the Ummah of the past. As the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, no, تَتَّبِعُ خُطُوَاتٍ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ شِبْرًا فَشِبْرًا. You will follow the Ummah of those that have come before you, a handspan for a handspan. إذا دخلتم الجحر ضب دخلتموه. If they would have entered into a hole of lizard, you would have entered with them. We are not like them. Meaning that we are people of change in Ramadan. And inshallah ta'ala, the famous things of Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq mentioning, Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq this incident of the slander of Sayyidina Aisha anha. And then what happened? There was somebody called the Khadima Mistah of Sayyidina Aisha anha, and and who was a poor person, and she used to do khidmah sometimes, and other times she was by herself, and she started to spread certain things of Sayyidina Aisha, like people do. They hear, they spread. They don't make it up, but they spread it, and that is just as worse as the person who makes it. So then Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, you can imagine the pain that it caused him, the purity of his chaste daughter, the wife of the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. So then he used to spend on Mistah, and he withheld the spending on Mistah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no? And the higher call is that the people closest to us to be forgiven. So repair that which is between us. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed upon Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq and to Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam, أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. Do you not wish that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you? And he says, Bala, of course. And then he reinstated the stipend for Mistah. Meaning that what? Meaning that, ya ikhwan, this is a time for us to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in forgiveness. This is a time in which we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are forgiving to each other, and we fulfill the rights of others, and any rights that we have yet to fulfill, we go and in this month we fulfill those rights and ask for them for forgiveness. For indeed, this is a time in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to return back to Him, and we cannot return back to Him except that we repair that which is amongst ourselves. Because from the people who will not be forgiven will be the mushahin, and will be qatil rahim, the person who is wrangling with another, and this wrangling continues and doesn't repair what's between them two. And then another person is he or whom has broken the family ties, and so he is the one that repairs family ties. And all a person has to do is just be the person that takes the initial step. He is the person that yubadr, and he takes the initial movement towards khair and goodness, and whether the person forgives him or not, or responds to him or not, and list inshallah between him and Allah, he now is not from the people of the mushahana, and not from the people of qatil rahim, of those who have broken family ties. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to understand in the month of Ramadan, and enable us to understand that we are now in a moment, inshallah, Allah has put us in a khalwa. You could say Allah has put us in a state of being, in a state of any isolation, but rather I would say in a state of seclusion, meaning that it's a time for us to ponder on what is really important to us: our wealth, our homes, our automobiles, our our the balances within our various banks. Are these things really important? Or is it family and our love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is important? And this is why Allah has placed us in this seclusion, you could say khalwa, for us to think of that, what is the great essence of our being, on of our reality in this dunya. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enable us to continue taking the blessed nature of this month, and be ones inshallah ta'ala that make this month such that we come out exactly as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says when He says kutiba alaykum as-siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. And taqwa isn't just within the salah or the masjid, but taqwa is all of our realms of our life. And Allah give us tawfiq inshallah. Wa quli qawli hadha astaghfiru li lakum fastaghfiru fa innahu al-ghafur ar-rahim.